Hi guys, this is Mario
and Toby.
Together we are Ströme and we are here today at the headquarters of Endorphins
in Barcelona.
And we brought some great machines. Me, for example, I brought this Black Beauty, the Endorphins Shuttle Black Edition, and this is actually my bass synthesizer in the Ströme setup. I love this machine, I really love this machine. I show you a patch I do for the live shows, and I hope this is great for you.
And I will play with the Black Noir, cool drum machine, and I show you some tricks how I play with it, and hope you have some fun, man.
Hi, this is Mario, and I'd like to show you the setup patch for the bass synthesizer for the Ströme shows. And many people ask how the system is patched and how it interacts with sequencers, and I'd like to show some of that in this little video. We will start with an unpatched shuttle, and what we need to do is to connect the oscillator waveform outputs to the inputs of the cockpit, and we have a mixer for our sound sources. So the sine wave output of the modulation oscillator goes to the input 1 of the cockpit. The saw wave output of the modulation oscillator goes to the input 2 of the cockpit. And next we have the final output of the carrier oscillator, which goes to the input number 3 of the cockpit. Input number 4 is used for feeding different sound sources into the mixer. Today I'd like to use noise as an additional sound source for my bass patch. Basically, we start up with a simple sine wave on channel 1. As you can see, there's a green light on the channel 1. So that means the sine wave is on duty. But before we can hear anything, we need to connect the output of the cockpit to the input of the filter, which in this patch is input B, gate B, on the ground terminal. So there's a further input on the ground terminal, input A, where you can feed other stuff into the filter. So the next thing we need to do is to give the oscillators the pitch information. Modulation oscillator pitch information goes out on the shuttle control output 8 to key input of the modulation oscillator. Output 16 of the shuttle control goes to the key input of the carrier oscillator. Next, we need to connect the gate informations to the envelopes. So in this patch, the sequencer gives out digital information, which is converted by the shuttle control to analog control voltages. Coming back to our patch, we need to connect output 7 of the shuttle control to the airplane A check-in input. Output 15 of the shuttle control then triggers airplane B, so we have to put the cable in check-in on airplane B. Now we connect the output of envelope A to the CV input lettered Y on the ground terminal channel B. I'd like to mention this little switch here, which is responsible for switching modes on the gateway. With this switch in lower position, channel B is in VCA mode, controlled by the CV input labeled Y here. Switch in upper position, the CV input becomes a resonance control. Switching back to VCA mode, I'm plugging a cable into CV input labeled Y on the ground terminal. And now airplane A becomes the envelope control for the VCA. The next is that I use one of the channels of the gateway for mixing and attenuating CVs that control the filter. So the unipolar output of airplane B goes to the CV input of the lower channel of the gateway. The reason for this is that I have an attenuator for the intensity of the envelope before the envelope goes to the filter. Plus I have another input for more modulation sources. So the unipolar envelope information comes out here and goes to the gateway. CV input will be attenuated here. This knob becomes the envelope intensity for the filter. To crank it up full for now. Full up would be 5 volts, and it's also possible to reverse the signal to minus 5 volts. And of course, we have to connect the output of the gateway to the CV input of channel B of the ground terminal. Okay, so I prepared a little sequence. So you can see gate information coming out here and the pitch information coming out on 8 and 16. Now I'd like to explain some of the functions of the gateway. As we know, this knob here is the envelope intensity of the filter. And this knob here becomes an offset, so I can use it as a regular cutoff frequency control. When you plug in a cable into the X-labeled CV input on the ground terminal, this knob here becomes an attenuator for the CV signals. So in this patch, the X knob on the channel B of the ground terminal is fully up, and I control all the CVs with the mixer of the gateway channel B. Another important thing to me is the ability to change between the waveforms very quickly during a live performance. And as I mentioned before, I use the cockpit as a waveform mixer for all the stuff getting mixed, balanced, and dropped out to the filter input. Here I have a pure sine wave on channel 1. It comes out from the modulator oscillator. And the second sound I have is the saw wave output of the modulator oscillator, which goes into input 2 of the cockpit. It's even possible to get filter-like results with the cockpit balancing the sine wave and the saw wave of the same oscillator. The next sound source is on channel 3 of the cockpit, and it's the final output of the carrier oscillator. And this is where the sound goes really fat. Sound shaping possibilities only by the use of the symmetry control of the further generator. And on channel 4 you can add even more sound sources like noise to your sound and get even more interesting results. With the gateway switch to VCA mode, you can control the resonance of the filter with a Y knob on the grain terminal. Adding a little bit of the final output of the carrier oscillator. What I do now is I switch the carrier oscillator to hard sync to the modulation oscillator to get interesting overtones. And so on. So there are many sound shaping possibilities already in this fixed patch. The Shuttle control offers many things which are really useful in a patch. For example, there are envelopes and pulsar envelopes. I programmed the Shuttle control in a way that a note information on MIDI channel 1. It will output gate information for the two function generators on airplane A and B, as well as the pitch information for the modulation oscillator and the carrier oscillator. So this is one of my bass synthesizer setups, and for crazy bass lines it's absolutely necessary to have a lot of modulation possibilities. And the Shuttle control gives me a lot of them. For example, on output number 1, I programmed an envelope. It's a 2-parameter AD envelope and it's controllable by MIDI-CC. I programmed the parameters on my sequencer here. You can see A and D, and it's controllable by these knobs here. A and D control the envelope that finally goes out on output 1. You can see it on the LED that the decay time changes. So you can monitor the envelope on this LED here. Other options I have are, for example, LFOs and randomizers, which are very important for my live performance. And what I love to do is to use random pitch for the synchronized oscillator. You see, we have a random generator here which gives out random voltages every time a gate signal comes in on channel 1. And I patch this random voltage into the CV input of the carrier oscillator, which is synced to the modulation oscillator. Okay, now let's use the envelope. Let's say for the symmetry parameter of the carrier oscillator. I think this patch offers a lot of modulation possibilities, also including random. And another important thing for me is the ability to modulate the decay time of the filter envelope. And amongst other things, I use random for this purpose. So I programmed a second random generator on the Shuttle control to control the decay time of the envelope. Now I turn down the decay time. Now take a random signal, which is clocked to the bassline, which means a random signal is generated with every note of the bassline. And this random signal now controls the decay time of the filter envelope. So this is the bass synthesizer setup, and now Toby will continue.
Hello, this is Toby from Ströme, and this is my Black Noir. I really love this machine because of some special sounds, which really helps me the last concerts, and also some very nice features to modulate the sounds and make some fills with it, or how to the possibility to modulate the effects with this machine. And I just want to show you how I do it and a few tricks I like to do on the stage with it. I think you guys all know this machine, and you have velocities, triggers, all the normal stuff, but you also have a spoiler for like a bit crush effect. Thrust is for metal sound effect, and a low pass and high pass filter with resonance. Very cool. I really love the effect section, which you can modulate with CV. And very cool is the clock in is for the fills. The fills are played in the time the clock or the gates are coming in, and you can really jam very cool stuff live with it. Okay, let's just play some beats. Nice. The bass drum is really amazing. I have many bass drums and did them for myself with FM and oscillators and with filters like 808 style. But when I heard this bass drum the first time on a big PA in the club, it really was wow, very nice. And very full and rich and deep. I really love it. Okay, so here I have the snare drum. I think so, yeah. Some hi-hats. Oh no, this was the tambourine. Here are the hi-hats. Tambourine. Okay, that's a normal easy beat. Now let's try the effect section. This is without modulation. You have the possibility to say which sound should go in the effect, like the snare, or just the hi-hats. Yeah, or just the bass drum. Let's modulate it now, the dry back section with a CV input from CV out from over the shuttle of my sequencer. How this is sounding. Yeah, very nice. And it's more like 8 voice. You can make own rhythms with it. That's really great. You can, of course, jam with it, do different patterns. Okay, next thing, I have a clock in here, and I just I give it for my sequencer. I have different clocks. When I right now, I give him 16th notes in the clock. Now I have fills in 16 style. Nice. But you can also you can give different clocks in, so 32s like this. That's really cool for the height, for example. If I change my pattern a little bit. Okay, so you have the 16th heights, and you can do ratchetings 32s. I really like that. Right now I use the gated reverb. It's one of 8 effects, and we also can try something else. I think the second one is the spring reverb. Very nice too. Put a little bit more thrust. And I used a randomizer from here to go in the thrust, and this is the attenuator for the thrust style. Very nice. And what is also very nice is for when you make some fills to work with the big crusher. I need a little bit more bass drum. This is the ping pong delay. So you see, you have so many possibilities to jam around and try to play it like a real a live instrument and learn, find your own stuff and get on your own style. And I think there's so much in it. There's so many possibilities. Yeah, I really love this machine. There's so many possibilities to jam around, to try different patches. And now we're gonna play live on something with Ströme.